Welcome to InvestaMania, brother.
Boom! What's up, InvestaManiacs? Jordan Knight here with InvestaMania, the show where we help you get rich. And we have a little fun along the way. The November unemployment number came in at 6.9%, which may be just bad enough to get a stimulus deal done. No stimulus deal would be bad for the markets. Residential landlords have not been able to evict tenants, and that has kept the consumer more flush with cash than they otherwise would be. Hey, it's a little easier to have a little extra cash when you don't need to pay your rent. That changes in 2021. In January, we may be seeing millions of Americans getting evicted without an additional stimulus package, as well as a weaker consumer. Once people need to actually pay their rent, they're not going to have as much spending cash available. And you know where people go when they don't have so much spending cash? If you got to get a little bit of a Christmas present on a discount, you go to Five Below. This discount brick and mortar retailer specializes in goods under the price of, you guessed it, $5, $5 foot long. Although they do have some goods over $5, it's mostly $5 and below. Think of it like a dollar store, but with prices of $5. And unlike a dollar store, you can actually get some pretty cool stuff at Five Below. These stores are so incredibly popular, they have a payoff period of less than 1 year. That means for every new store they open, that store will pay for itself in less than a year. That is what I call a return on investment. Five Below was one of my favorite retailers pre-COVID, but how is it holding up in the COVID-19 era? Obviously, they were hurt when they had to shut down all their stores, but now they're back open. Are people going? Let's take a look at their recent third quarter results and find out. Net sales increased by 26.3% to $476.6 million compared to Q3 2019. That was well before the pandemic hit. Same-store comp sales are up a massive 12.8%. Five Below opened 36 new store locations and ended Q3 with 1,018 stores in 38 states. Hey, that means you still have 12 states that don't have one single Five Below. That's a lot of room to grow. Operating income increased by 91.2% to $24.2 million. Impressive. GAAP income increased over 100% to $20.4 million. Diluted earnings per share also doubled to 36 cents. They haven't had any dilution in the past year, which is awesome. Joel Anderson, president and CEO of Five Below, said, quote, "Our third quarter results surpassed our expectations as customers responded very positively to our extreme value trend right offering. Our teams did a great job keeping the stores clean and safe, and our merchants pivoted quickly to ensure we met customer demand for products relevant in this COVID-impacted environment. Our performance this quarter demonstrates the inherent flexibility of our model and the agility of our teams to deliver a differentiated shopping experience with incredible value." Five Below is a winner. But the stock has tripled off its March lows, so is it too late to get into this stock? Let's take a look at some of the relative numbers. In Q3 2019, the stock was trading at 113 times the previous quarter on an annualized basis. Now, what does this mean? It's not 113 times the previous 4 quarters or trailing 12 months. That's what you typically hear, but 113 times the previous quarter times 4. So I'm annualizing the most recent quarter. This is something that I often do with high growth stocks to give me a little bit more of a relevant valuation. Because if something's growing earnings at say 100% a year, well, I don't really care as much what was happening a year ago. I want to know what's happening right now. Now, 113x is not cheap, but it is 30% cheaper than the 161x the stock was trading at on the close of February 21st, which was Q3 2019, plus a little bit of time right before the market crashed. So, how about operating income though? Because sometimes GAAP can be a little misleading. Operating income is up a massive 91% year over year compared to only 22.5% growth last year. Price to operating income per share for Q3 2020 on an annualized basis is 94x. And we compare that to February 21st when the stock was at 128x. This is kind of like a price to earnings multiple, except we're using operating income instead of GAAP earnings per share. And right now, the stock is 26.5% cheaper than it was pre-COVID on that operating income multiple. In the end, Five Below is putting up far better earnings than it was pre-COVID. And it's not by cutting expenses. No, it's by growing the top line. And that growth is actually accelerating right now. You're getting a stronger company than you were pre-COVID. You're getting cheaper earnings per share than you were pre-COVID. You're getting cheaper operating profit per share than you were pre-COVID. And you're getting quicker growth than you were pre-COVID. Five Below is a top-notch reopening stock. Bad news for the movie theaters. Warner Media announces a big change to their distribution model. Previously, Warner announced Wonder Woman 1984 would simultaneously release in the movie theaters and on HBO Max. The movie theaters agreed because, well, they honestly didn't really have all that much of a choice. They're near bankruptcy, and they don't have much leverage after Tenet bombed at the box office. But now, AT&T owned Warner Media announced all Warner movies in 2021 will be released simultaneously on HBO Max, which is also owned by AT&T. So that means, so we're clear here, HBO Max and Warner Media are both owned by AT&T. Now, will the movie theaters allow this? AMC Theaters CEO Adam Aron responded with the following, quote, "We will aggressively pursue economic terms that preserve our business. We have already commenced an immediate and urgent dialogue with the leadership of Warner on this subject. Clearly, Warner Media intends to sacrifice a considerable portion of the profitability of its movie studio division and that of its production partners and filmmakers to subsidize its HBO Max startup. As for AMC, we will do all in our power to ensure that Warner does not do so at our expense." Them sound like fighting words. But let's be honest, are they just words or do they actually mean anything? After all, AMC has already reduced their theatrical exclusivity window with Universal from 75 to 90 days, all the way down to as short as 17 days. Plus, Warner has already went public with their plan. They're not going to be backing out now. AMC can choose not to show Warner movies, but is that really going to accomplish anything? And I don't know if that's a very wise decision when your company is on life support, very close to bankruptcy. Maybe AMC can negotiate a better revenue split with Warner. Warner releases to HBO Max simultaneously, but AMC will take a larger portion of the box office gross. Maybe. Here's what I think is going on at Warner Media. Warner Media CEO Jason Killer. Oh, okay, it's Kyler, but I mean, come on, I think Killer sounds a little bit better because that's what he's doing to the movie theaters. He's killing them, Jason the Killer. So anyway, here's what I think his strategy is. Now, he has openly admitted he's not thinking about 2022, but this is what I think is probably going on. First, he has noted this is only going to apply to 2021. So he's not saying permanently we're always going to release movies simultaneously on HBO Max and movie theaters, just for 2021. Well, box office is probably going to be pretty weak, at least for the first half of 2021 anyway, right? We all saw what happened to Tenet. AT&T is going to take a hit one way or the other. The objective right now isn't to make a bunch of money, it's to minimize the damage. So why not take this as an opportunity to grow HBO Max subscribers? Simultaneously releasing movies on HBO Max should provide a bump to HBO Max. Then, in 2022, Warner Media can voluntarily re-implement a box office exclusivity window in one form or another. It might be a little different than it was in the past, but they can bring it back. The key is, I think they will retain a lot of their 2021 acquired HBO Max customers, even if they re-implement an exclusivity window in 2022 and on. While this is definitely a blow to the movie theaters, this is also a negative situation for the movie studios. We focus so much on the movie theaters, sometimes we forget the movie studios are also having a very bad time. The box office is a massive source of profit for the theaters and the studios. There's a reason why Netflix doesn't go around making a bunch of $200 million tentpole movies. They simply are not worth as much when you don't get that box office release where people are paying $5, $10, $15 per person just to watch that one single movie. Instead, they're paying, $10 a month to watch the entire catalog of whatever's on their streaming service. The stock of AMC, Cinemark, and IMAX are all understandably down big today. Be very careful of the theater stocks. It's a beautiful week for Boeing as American Airlines flies the first public 737 MAX flight in 20 months. The FAA grounded Boeing's troubled plane after 2 crashes killed 346 people. Last month, the 737 MAX was finally cleared to fly again. The first test flight was on American Airlines. The 1-hour test flight was filled with journalists. The pilot explained the changes to the journalists that were made to the plane to address safety issues so the journalists could go tell the public. American also flew the first of 5 employee-only flights to nowhere, kind of like a cruise to nowhere, on the 737 MAX. These flights with journalists have less to do with safety and testing and more to do with trying to gain the public and employee confidence. Flying around the 737 MAX, it's kind of like when New York City marched a bunch of elephants across the Brooklyn Bridge in the 1880s to prove it was safe. Not really. Not to the engineers and the regulators, but to the public. And right now, Boeing and the airliners have to convince the public that it's safe to fly the 737 MAX. American Airlines, which has the world's largest fleet of planes, is eager to get passengers back into the MAX. Out of its nearly 900 planes, 24 are Maxes. Now, 24 may not sound like a lot, but that's roughly $2.9 billion worth of planes that have been just sitting in parking lots for nearly 2 years. It's sad. But the future is bright for Boeing, and it's been one of my favorite recovery trades over the past kind of month or so. The FAA boss, well, he also said he's 100% confident in the 737 MAX's safety. And Ryanair just ordered 75 MAXes. On the flip side, Southwest says that 25% of its customers still would not feel comfortable flying on the 737 MAX. It may be a rolling start for the MAX, but I am confident that 25% number will significantly drop within the next several months. Dunkin's new color-changing drink is the epitome of an experiential product. It'll probably look cooler on TikTok than it will taste in real life, but for a gimmicky product like this, is there really any difference? They're trying to get those TikTok views, man. Dunkin just dropped the Sugar Plum Macchiato, a color-changing new holiday drink with a light purple ombre effect. Read Instabate, super grammable. When you shake it, the purple mixes with the coffee-colored part to create a coffee-colored drink. This revolutionary beverage apparently took Dunkin 4 years to develop, but it only took 24 hours to go viral with 400,000 plus TikTok views. Viral drinks aren't exactly new, from the Starbucks pink drink to multicolored Frappuccino monstrosities. But these time-intensive concoctions are scarce during the pandemic. Big chains have been streamlining to focus simple classics so they can get that fast out of the takeout for delivery and not have any issues with running out of products and kind of vendors and whatnot. McDonald's, for example, they kicked out about 100 items off of their menu back in June. Goodbye salads. Nobody liked you anyway. Go back to Panera Bread, where you belong. Starbucks is keeping its holiday menu simple. The star is Irish cream cold brew, but does it change colors though? Not quite as grammable, is it? I like Dunkin. Until next time, my name is Jordan Knight, and this is InvestaMania, the show where we help you get rich.